If you own an electric vehicle, you are holding a ticking financial time bomb. The dealerships tell you that EVs require zero maintenance, no oil changes, no spark plugs, no transmission fluid. Just plug it in, drive, and save the planet. But what they are hiding from you is the silent death happening under your floorboards every single night: battery degradation. In the US and Europe, we are seeing thousands of electric cars losing up to 20% of their range in just a few short years. And when that battery finally dies out of warranty, you're looking at a $15,000 to $20,000 replacement bill. Your high-tech car is essentially a disposable smartphone on wheels. But halfway across the world, something impossible is happening. In China, fleets of electric taxis built by companies like BYD are routinely hitting 400 to 500,000 miles on their original battery packs, with almost zero range loss. How is this physically possible? Do they have alien technology? No. They're using a specific set of battery management habits, a Chinese method that completely defies how Western automakers tell you to treat your car. Today, I'm going to expose the Chinese trick. I will show you exactly how to apply their charging secrets to your Tesla, your Ford, or your Hyundai to make your battery last 500,000 miles. If you don't want your EV to be completely worthless in 5 years, you cannot afford to miss this. To understand the trick, we first have to understand the massive lie Western automakers have been telling you about how to charge your car. If you read the manual for a standard US EV, it tells you a strict rule: never charge your car to 100%, only charge to 80% for daily driving. They tell you this because most Western EVs use NMC batteries, nickel, manganese, cobalt. These batteries pack a ton of power and give you fast acceleration, but they are incredibly fragile. If you charge an NMC battery to 100% and let it sit in your garage, the high voltage literally cooks the internal chemistry. It stresses the cells and permanently degrades your range. But Chinese engineers went a completely different route. Years ago, BYD and CATL perfected a different chemistry called LFP, lithium iron phosphate. This is the secret sauce behind the Chinese trick. LFP batteries are far more resilient, they don't catch fire easily, and they handle high voltage much better. In fact, Chinese engineers actually require you to charge these batteries to exactly 100% at least once a week. Why? Because the battery management system, the computer brain of your car, gets confused if it isn't fully charged. If you only charge an LFP battery to 80% like an American car, the computer eventually loses track of where the bottom of the battery is. One day your car might say you have 50 miles of range left and then suddenly shut off completely on the highway. Here is the secret application for you. You need to know exactly what chemistry is under your seat. If you recently bought a standard range Tesla Model 3, a Ford Mustang Mach-E, or a new Rivian, you might actually have an LFP battery inside it right now. If you're following the old 80% rule on a new LFP battery, you are ruining its calibration. You must adopt the Chinese method. Plug it in, charge it to 100%, and let the computer balance the cells. Now let's talk about the second part of the Chinese method, and this one will make the charging networks very angry. In the West, we are obsessed with DC fast chargers. We brag about charging our cars from 10 to 80% in 20 minutes. Here's the brutal truth: frequent DC fast charging accelerates battery wear. When you plug into a level 3 fast charger, you're forcing enormous amounts of direct current electricity into the battery cells faster than they can comfortably absorb it. This generates significant internal heat. Imagine trying to force a gallon of water through a tiny straw in 1 second. The pressure causes friction. Inside your battery, excess heat stresses the materials. Over time, repeated high-power charging increases internal resistance and reduces long-term capacity. So how do the Chinese taxi fleets hit 500,000 miles? They rely primarily on slow, steady level 2 AC charging overnight. When you charge your car slowly at home using a standard 220-volt charger, the energy flows more gently. The battery stays cooler. The chemical reactions happen with less stress. The secret to EV longevity is not charging faster, it is charging smarter and slower whenever possible. Unless you're on a long road trip, you should minimize DC fast charging and rely on overnight home charging. Over time, your battery will thank you. Habit number 3 is something EV owners completely misunderstand. It's called thermal management. Batteries are just like humans. They hate extreme cold and they hate extreme heat. They operate best at moderate temperatures. When you leave your EV parked outside in freezing winter weather or baking in the summer sun, the battery chemistry is stressed. If you try to drive or charge a freezing battery, lithium ions move more slowly. In extreme cases, charging a very cold battery can cause lithium plating, which permanently reduces capacity. The smart move is simple. Leave the car plugged in when you are at home, even if the battery is already near your target charge. Most people unplug their car when it hits 80 or 100%, but when your car is plugged in, the system can draw power from the wall to run the battery's heating or cooling system. It keeps the battery at an optimal temperature without draining the pack itself. If you leave it unplugged, the car must use its own stored energy to regulate temperature, which increases battery cycling and small but cumulative wear. Always be plugging is the golden rule. Let the wall outlet handle temperature management whenever you can. Finally, we reach the most critical rule of the Chinese method, the 20% zone. Many drivers treat their EVs like gas cars. They drive them down to 5% and then scramble for a charger. Deep discharges put extra stress on lithium-ion batteries. At very low states of charge, cell voltage drops significantly, and repeated extreme lows can increase degradation over time. Fleet operators understand this. Their drivers are instructed to recharge well before the battery becomes critically low. Treat 20% as your practical minimum for daily use. Avoid living at the extremes, neither very high nor very low for long periods. If you combine these habits, understanding your battery chemistry, using 100% appropriately for LFP, minimizing fast charging, managing temperature by staying plugged in, and avoiding running it to empty, your EV battery can last far longer than most people expect. The electric vehicle revolution is here, but protecting your investment is your responsibility. Check your battery chemistry, be strategic with fast charging, keep it plugged in when possible, and avoid running it to empty. And if you're thinking about buying a used EV, there is one specific battery health test you absolutely must perform before handing over your money, or you could be buying a very expensive mistake. Make sure you learn how to check battery health properly before making that decision. Drive smart and protect your battery for the long run.